Okay. So we're gonna do quiz 2 for spring 2020 for Knighton. And the way I like to set up for my quizzes is I like putting my text pad or text mate on the right side, and then I open up my Word doc on the left. Yeah, I think so. Let's see. Yeah, we're unmuted. Cool. So here we're gonna go ahead and just dive right in. So he gives you the first class right here. So if he does that on y'all's quiz on Monday, then you would just copy and paste it into here. And then we would save it. So I'm gonna save it as computer since that's what he has. So let's go ahead and hit save. Oops, I saved mine as a text file, not Java. So let me go ahead and fix that. Oh, I put a comma. That's what happened. There we go. There we go. So now got the colors. Go ahead and zoom in. So this would be your first class, and that's all you would do here. Next, we're gonna open up a new tab, and let's go ahead and start it with the instructions. So the first thing it says is to create a new class called laptop. So I'm gonna copy this, and I'm gonna save it. Base.java. And then if you have a Mac, PU tab, CL tab, and it does all these things right here. So it's gonna add public class, it's gonna add the laptop, it's gonna have extents for you, and here you just put the parent. So if you look down here on the instructions, it says this class is an extension of the computer class described on the left, which is this class right here. So it already has extents for you, then you just put the parent. So the parent in this case would be the name of the first class, which is computer. So I copy, and here where it says parent, paste it in, and then this you can just delete it. You don't need it. And then have your opening, close curly brackets. And then I like to cross off the part that we finished. So come over here with my highlighter and I cross this off. That way I don't get confused. So we created the class and it extends computer. Next, there are 3 attributes. These attributes are the size of HD, the total configured price, and the price of the hard drive, I think. So attributes, normally private. And we're gonna do the size of the hard drive first. So we're just gonna take a peek down here and see kind of what we're working with. So I think the size of the hard drive is talking about this disk capacity right here. So it's 256, 1024, 2040, 2048. So I don't think we're gonna be doing any calculations with it. So we can just make it a string. And then I'm gonna name this size of hard drive and close it off with a semicolon. Next, we have the price. So I think that's the price of the hard drive because over here we have a price already. So let's call that private. And this one, since it is a price, we're probably gonna do calculations with it. We're gonna do a double. And we're gonna call it hard drive price. Finish it with a semicolon. Next, it says we got to do the total configured price. So when it comes to a total, that's how we know we're going to use static. So it's going to be used throughout the whole class. So it's going to be private as well. It's going to be static, and it's going to be a double. And we're going to name it total price. And since it's a static attribute, we have to initialize it to something. So let's just initialize it to 0.0. So this class is an extension of the computer class. We already did that. So we can go ahead and cross everything here. Yeah. I think you can just put 0. I don't think it matters, but just so I'm reminded that it's a double, then I put 0.00. Yeah. So next it says this class will have one constructor. So how do we name a constructor? Do you guys know? Yeah, the name of the class, right? So here we're just gonna copy and paste. That way we minimize our errors. Laptop, and we're gonna have parentheses. Now you can put public before it, but if you don't put public, it doesn't matter. It automatically defaults to public. So I'm lazy. I don't like typing, so I'm just gonna put laptop, right? That's the name of the class. We have parentheses, and it says it will receive parameters, and it says it's going to receive the computer model, the price, HD size, HD price in this constructor. So we're gonna check back in the other class and see. So here's computer model, it's a string. Here's price, it's a double. So it says here we're gonna receive the parameters of computer model. So we know it's a string then. And we'll just name it model. And then the next one is price. So we come back here. This one is the price. So this one is double. So we would put double price. Then it says hard drive size. So it's this one right here. It's a string. So we put string right here. And then I like to copy and paste. So size HD. And then we got the HD price. So this one is a double. And HD price. And so this price one is referring to the price in the parent class. So it's only 4 things, right? Computer model, price, HD size, and HD price. So yep, we're good here. I have an extra comma here for some reason. So we're good there. So we completed this part of the quiz. Cross it off. Next, it says call the constructor for the computer class, passing as parameters the hardware name, which is the model, and the price. So here we're gonna have our curly braces. And do you guys remember how to call the parent constructor? Does anyone remember? Yeah. So it's super. Super, right? So we're gonna use the super keyword. That's just replacing the, or it's calling the parent constructor, parentheses right here, and whatever we're gonna pass. So it's saying we're gonna pass the model and the computer price right here. So let's go ahead and copy this. That way we don't make mistakes, comma, and we're gonna pass the price. And if we come back here to the first class, we can see that it matches. It's asking for a string called computer model and a double called price. So then here we have a string and we have a double being passed. We don't have to call it the same name. It doesn't matter. Here it's called model, so it's being passed. And then whenever we come over here, it'll become computer model, and then the stuff in here will happen. So you can have it whatever name you want. I just made it model because I don't like typing. So
should it technically be the same as the other one?
It can. It's not a mistake if you don't. So here we're gonna finish it off with a semicolon and move on to the next one. So completed this part, scratch it off. And next it says move the remaining parameters to the appropriate attributes. So it's just like quiz 1. We're gonna assign the values to each other that are being passed. So we're going to use the this dot method, and we're going to do the size or size HD equals, and then size HD. And we're going to do it for the hard drive price as well. Cool. So we finished this part. Let you guys catch up.
Can we hold on a second? I'm just gonna make coffee.
Okay. So here what we're doing when it's saying move the remaining parameters to the appropriate value, it's saying that assign this when you're talking about this dot size HD, it's referring to the one at the top, the one of the attribute one, and then this one is referring to the one that's being received. So this dot size HD, this one, equals to the one that's being to the value that's being passed here. So that's what that means right here. Cool. So next it says update the total configured price with the computer and HD amounts. So we're gonna increment the total price. So we're gonna use this variable right here. So copy and paste is equal to, and I think you guys learned the shortcuts, right? With plus equals.
Yeah, but I don't think I'm not sure if we can use that.
Okay, so we can use
No,
we
just use the shortcut.
we can use the other method
No,
still.
do the shortcut.
Okay, so we're gonna do this. Wait, we don't need that if we're doing the shortcut. Total price plus equals, and the stuff we're gonna add to it. So we're gonna add the price, and we're gonna add the hard drive price, which I'll just copy and paste it. So there we are, semicolon. So then that's what that line is asking for. So we completed the constructor for this class. We good so far? Cool. So next it says there will be one additional method to return the total configured price. Does everyone know what that's asking for?
It's just like a
A get method, right? So which attribute are we going to return for this in this case? What does it say on the instructions? Total configured price, so that's total price for us. So it's a static and it's a double. So since it's a get method, we want it to be public. And since it's static and double, we put static and we put double, which is the type, the data type that we're returning. And for proper syntax, for proper styling, we're going to call it get and then total price. And we're going to add the parentheses.
why is it always capitalized when it's the get method?
So that's just that's called camel casing. So we start off with a lowercase letter, then we have a capital letter, and then every subsequent word has a capital letter, just so it's easier to read. This doesn't really matter.
The original one didn't have it. Are you allowed to do that?
Yes, because this is just the name of this variable, or the name of this method, sorry. So you can name this method whatever you want. What matters, like what this method will do is inside the method, right? So the name is just what you would use to call this method, right? So the proper way is we normally name methods what they're doing. So we just name it get total price, and we have a capital T because that's the second word. So that's why we capitalize the T. So we always start with lowercase letter, then capitalize. It's not like too big of a deal. Like if I wanted to, I could just make this all lowercase. It won't make a difference as long as whenever you're using the method, you use all lowercase letters, right?
So you can tell.
It's just so it's easy to read, yeah. So here we're gonna have the return, since it's a get method, and what we're returning, we're gonna return the total price, semicolon.
I get confused when I see that. Is that just like to make it more confusing, or would the longer way be doing the opening thing and then the
So
sign off?
this is the same exact thing as doing this.
I just wanted to make sure.
It's the same exact thing. In Java, it does spacing and lines don't matter. So I like how this looks, and it's also just save space. That way, you can read the whole code on one page, right? So I just do it like that. You guys can do it however you guys want, as long as you have the curly braces surrounding it, right? So we're gonna return this, make sure you have a semicolon at the end. And we completed this part. So next, it says there will be one method to display the detail line as displayed below, and this was used to display lines 2 to 5. So I think it's talking about the black box right here. So what do you guys think we're going to use to display something like that? This one right here? We're going to do the system.out.print line, right? So let's make this public, since we're probably going to call it for the other class. We're not going to return anything. And let's just call it display, since it's displaying something. And it didn't say anything about receiving any parameters, so go ahead and open close brackets. And we're going to be using a system.out.print line. And we want to display lines 2 to 5. So 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5. So these to me seems like it's going to be it says 2 to 5.
No, it's fine. I just didn't know because sometimes it's
Okay. So here we're going to start off with using the model. So remember that the child class inherits the stuff from the parent class, so we can just use the super keyword and call the attribute from up here. So we're going to use super.computerModel. Then he wants some tabs right here. So if you want proper formatting, we would do \T like that. And I'm gonna add a line here just so you guys can read it better. That way I don't have to scroll to the side, but you guys can do it all in one line. So next it's saying the price. So we're gonna do the same thing again. It's gonna be the super dot and then whatever we named it over here, which is price. So copy and paste. And he wants tabs again. So \T. And next he wants the disk capacity, which is just the size of the hard drive. So here, since this attribute is from this class, we don't need the super anymore. We can just do size HD. It's in the scope. So now we need the price. So let's do some more tabs. \T. So let's go ahead and add a line here. So we want the price now. So we would just do HD price. More tabs. Cool. So now the last one is asking for the configured price, which to me, it looks like we're just adding 750 and 125 to equal 875. So we're going to be adding computer model and the HD price. So how do you guys think we should write this one? Yeah, so what would the first attribute be that we're adding? So we can just copy and paste this part. And what's the next one? Yeah, HD price. Cool. So that's what that would look like. And we finish this part then. So I think later on, we're probably gonna use a loop, and we're gonna loop this method as many times as people ordered. So that's why we only do this once, and then later on, we're gonna loop through it and have it display however many times we need. Here, it's looking like it's 4. So we finish the first class. So let's try and run it just to see. So we have an error. What is my error? Okay, my error is over here. So I forgot to add a curly brace. So this one is good. It says no main method. Now let's try this one. There we go. No main method. No syntax error so far. Does everyone have the same thing as me so far? Or does someone have an error? What is your error saying?
I think I messed up
Yeah, so whenever I copied and pasted it, yeah, it's missing the curly brace over here. Look. So you guys gotta be on the lookout for that. Yep, it's missing the closing one right here. So when I copied and pasted it.
It says that main method not found.
What was it?
It says like main method not found in class.
Yeah, so when you have the and when it says main method is not found, then that means your file has no errors and it has no main method because this one doesn't have any main method, so it doesn't do anything yet. So now we're gonna move on, add another tab, and this one is gonna be called this right here. So let's go ahead and save it.
Wait, can I see that one?
Yeah. Oh. So, okay, so we moved on to this one. We saved it. So it says create this class. So public class for Mac users, PU tab, CL tab, and it does all this. You want to delete that, add the curly braces, and keep going. So as it says here, in this class, there are 2 methods and 4 attributes. These are described below. It says please use these attributes, copy the code. So he's giving you the attributes. He's being nice to you guys. So let's go ahead and copy this. And we just paste it. So these are going to be the attributes for this class. So he said there's 4, so we got all 4 of them. These are all arrays. So we got a string, an array of strings called computer. We got an array of doubles called price, another one for string called HD space gig, and another double for HD price. So looking like these are parallel arrays, right? So this del, this model is assigned to 750. The Acer is assigned to 550. HP is assigned to 650. And Apple is assigned to 950. Same thing with the space. So 256 costs 125, 512 costs 175, etc. So that's how you know these are parallel arrays. They each have 4 elements in them. So we completed that part. Next, let's go ahead and move on to method 1. It says this is the main method. So that's so you guys know. Public static void main string args. So Mac users main tab fills it in for you. Sorry, Windows users. So the first thing it's asking for is prompt the user for the number of computers they want to purchase. So we're going to come down here and see how this looks like. So we're going to do this thing right here. So what are we going to use? J option pane, right? So since we're going to use a J option pane, do not forget we need to import. So first we're going to go back, add a line, import Java x.swing dot star if we just want to be lazy. So imported, and now we're gonna ask the user how many computers you want to purchase. So what data type should this be? What do you guys think?
what they want to purchase.
Yeah, so we're gonna prompt, so we're gonna create a variable here. What data type do you think it should be?
You're asking them what they want to purchase.
How many they want to purchase,
Or
right?
how many they want to
Yeah.
purchase. Well, I assume they wouldn't be using a decimal, so
It wouldn't or would? Would not? So then what's the other one? Yeah, so we're gonna use an int. And let's name it num computers. Sorry about that. Num computers equals, and we're gonna ask the user to enter the number of computers they want to purchase. So that means we need a parse, right? So we're gonna do integer dot parse int, and here we're gonna do the J option pane, and it's gonna be what type of dialog? Show input. And here we start off with null. And what message we want to display. So it says here, how many computers you want to purchase. So that's what we put here. So finish that part. We can try running it to make sure we didn't make a mistake there. So if it runs, then did it make a mistake? So keep going. So we completed this line right here. Next, it says create an array of objects of type laptop for the number of computers being purchased. So we're going to create an array of objects here. So it's going to be similar to how we create an object, in class or quiz 1. So we're going to start off with the class name of the object of the class name of the class we're trying to create an object for. So it says here we're trying to create an object of type laptop. So here we'd start with laptop. The safest bet would just be copy and pasting this. Make sure you don't make mistakes, but laptop, I think I'm good. And it's going to be an array. So we need 2 square brackets. And we have to name this array. So let's just name this. Yeah, let's just name it laptops because I don't want to type out more. Let's name it laptops. Or is that too confusing? Let's
I wanna know what's in the array, so that's why.
so okay. Let's just name it orders or something. I don't know. Orders. Yeah, whatever you guys want. So we have to use the new keyword, and we're gonna say how many we want. So we're not gonna give it any data yet. We're just gonna say how many elements, how many spaces we want. So we're gonna copy and paste this in here. So if they enter that they want 2 computers, then it'll create spaces for 2 objects, right? They enter 4 in here, then it'll create 4 spaces for this array. And finish it with a semicolon. And that's what that line was asking for. Now here's some keywords for you guys. It says here for each purchase. When it says for, we're most likely to be using a loop and a for loop are the easiest ones. So for Mac users, type for and then tab. It gives you the format for a for loop. You just got to fill in this stuff right here. So we're gonna initialize ints. I like using the variable I since it's easy. And let's just initialize it to 0. And we're gonna say I is less than something. This is pretty much always what it's gonna be on the quiz. It's gonna be ints whatever variable you name it equals 0, and then the variable less than something. So here, it's going to be less than it's going to run for the number of computers. So we can just copy and paste this part right here and paste it into here. So if they enter 4 computers, this should run 4 times, right? Yeah. So next, we're just going to increment. Since we start at 0, we're going to increment I, and then fix your curly braces, and we can move on to what goes inside the for loop. So here, says prompt the user for the type of hardware as shown below. Hint, you create a loop. So we're going to be using a nested loop, and we're going to concatenate the different array elements into one message variable. Hey, Professor Knighton, how's it going?
I'm just checking it out.
Nice.
How you doing?
Good.
You figured it out?
Yeah, we're going through the laptop one. We're recording it too, that way. I'm gonna do this, so, yeah.
Such a deal. Is it making more sense? He does a better job than I do, right? No?
I don't know, I don't, maybe they don't want to hurt your feelings. Yeah. Cool, so, yeah, we're gonna be using a,
Just out of curiosity, are my quizzes harder than Professor Lewis's?
yes.
I have a better class. It evens out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna be using nested for loop here. All right, Professor Knight, take care.
You take that?
Actually, hold on. We got off track a little bit. Hold on. Let's read this again. Prompt the user for the type of hardware as shown below. Okay, so yeah. So we're gonna be using a nested loop to concatenate this. So we have to create this geoption pane right here, right? Because we're gonna ask the user to enter a number, and depending on what number they enter, then that means they want a Dell, they want an Acer, HP, etc., right? But he doesn't want us to hard code this, so he wants us to use the array to print that out. So this is a little tricky here, but we're gonna have a string variable, and we're gonna call it let's call it message. And then here's where we'll have the loop. So for tab, and we're gonna do int. We can't use I anymore because since it's nested, we have to use a different variable. So what's next? I'll use J. Int J equals 0. And again, J is less than something, right? So since we want to display this, this is all part of the array, the computer array, then the correct thing would be to use computer.length. That way it prints out all of these. Because, you know, what if they enter only, they want to order 2 computers, then it would only print the first 2.
But the length part is
The length, yeah, we want to print all of these out, so we would use the length, that way it goes through the whole array. So we would copy and paste, right? We'd copy and paste this part into here and use the dot length method. So J is equal to 0, so J is less than computer length. Then here we increment J and fix your curly braces. And here we go. So in here, we're gonna add to our message. So actually we need to initialize this as a blank string because then it won't work. So we're gonna use this message equals and then message plus, and then we're gonna use a computer array because we want to display the elements, and we want to display the element at position J. So depending on what iteration it's in the loop, then it'll print out, right? So if this is at 0, then it'll print out the first thing, which is del. Then if when it increments, comes in again as 1, then this is position 1, so it prints out Acer. Then comes in again, increments, comes in again as position 2. Then it prints out HP. Then again for 3, and it prints out Apple, right? So we're creating this string right here. Now we should probably add a line since that's what he has here, because if we just leave it like this, then it'll just print out one dash del and then 2 dash Acer, 3 dash HP, all in one line. So we got to add an escape sequence \n. And that's how we're gonna get this stuff right here of this J option pane, only this stuff. And then after that, we exit this loop, and we're gonna ask the user for the type of hardware as shown below, which is this one. So it's gonna be an int because they're gonna enter a number. So they're gonna enter 1 if they want del, 2 Acer, etc. So it's gonna be an int, and let's say model choice, since this is they're choosing here. So we have to parse. So show input dialog. Oops. And we want to show select computer provider. So we're going to do that. Provider. And we're going to add a line at the end. And after that, does anyone have an idea what we're going to use here?
Is that another way so that you don't have to turn over separate books? You just add it to the end.
So what are we going to add to the end though? Do you know?
White space.
We're going to add this message string that we created, right? So we would copy and paste this. So this took a while for people to understand last semester. So let me take a second and show what's going on. I'm going to add this on a different line. Okay. So here we're just creating a blank message, blank string. And here we're adding to that blank string, and we're going to add what's in this array. So the first time this goes in, it's at 0. It's gonna add to this blank string. It's gonna add 1 dash del, and it creates that thing right there. Then we increment j. Then at position 1, this is position 1. So it's gonna add Acer here now. Then HP under that and Apple under that. So it's in this loop right here, we're only creating what's in here from 1 dash del all the way to 4 dash Apple. That's the only thing we're creating. We're just creating that string right there. That's just a whole string right there that we're creating. And then here in this J option pane, we're doing select computer model, which is what's up here. We're gonna add a line, and then we just add the message that we created in this loop, which is these 4 things, right? So that makes sense? Kind of. So next, so we finished this part. Yeah.
So basically, you're saying before we were just fixing the forward of clause and up here, and then you're actually counting whoever is typing it.
Yeah. So yeah, here we're just creating the message. We're creating just these 4 things right here. The del all the way through Apple. We're just creating that. This part. Then then we're asking the user to enter a number. So if they want a del, they're gonna enter 1, blah blah blah, right? And then we write select computer provider, which is here, and we're gonna add the message that we created in that loop, which is just these 4 things.
Okay. It doesn't really make it clear whether you're supposed to put the number or like or dash. Oh,
Yeah, you're right. But I just assume, I guess. So.
I guess because integers, that's why we have the number.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So go ahead and move on. It says prompt the user for the size of the hard drive. So it's this one, this capacity. Hint, create a loop, 2, concatenate. So we're going to be doing the same exact thing again. So we can actually just copy and paste this whole part, and then we'll just change the we'll just change the variables. So go ahead and paste it in here. This one, let's name it message 2. We're gonna name this one, change that message 2. We can't use J anymore. Let's use X. And this time it's not, you're not using the computer array, we're using the hard drive space gig. So we change that. And same thing here, we're not using the computer array. We change it to the hard drive or HD space gig. And we're gonna change this to X. All the J's, change them to X. So same, okay, we're good there. So now we're gonna do, we're gonna ask the user for a hard drive choice. So let's just name this HD choice. We're still parsing. We're still doing all this stuff, but here we're just gonna change, instead of select provider, it says select hard drive capacity or hard disk capacity. So select hard disk capacity. Yeah. Message 2, because we're adding this one. If you guys want to be picky, then we'll do this. Okay, sorry about that.
no, it's not inconsistent. The one more that this first 2 was capitalized.
Okay, so that looks good to me. So let's just run it, just make sure we didn't make any mistakes. And let's see how this looks like so far. So let's do we want to do 3 computers. Yep, looks good. Look, matches his.
Were there 3 brackets or 2 in the last part?
Just give me 1 sec. So this one looks good, and then okay, yeah. So what was that?
I was just wanting to make sure that the 3 brackets were.
Okay. So we finished this part. Cross it off. Now we're still in the loop, right? It says for each purchase and these 3 things. So still in the loop. And now it says to instantiate the object. So we have to instantiate this array right here. So we're gonna do orders and then at position. And we're in this top loop, so it's I, at position I, and then equals new,
Second one. That's the
which part? This one?
size of the hard drive.
Yeah, it's this
Oh,
part,
that's the capacity.
this right here. Right, cool. So here we're gonna instantiate the array, or instantiate the object. And we're gonna pass these arguments. So the selected computer option, the price of the computer. Cool. So we're gonna use the laptop constructor. And we're gonna pass these things. So the first thing that's being passed is the price. So how do we know what the price is of the computer? You guys know? So we know the price depending on what computer they order, right? So if they want a Dell, then it's gonna be 750. So here we're gonna go here to model choice, and we're gonna use the computer array. So let's do computer, and then in here we're gonna have these brackets, and we're gonna use the model choice inside these brackets, and we're gonna subtract 1 to it. The reason why we're subtracting 1 is because they're gonna enter 1 in here if they want a Dell. But in the array, Dell is position 0 though, right? So that's why we subtract 1. So if they enter 4 for Apple, Apple was in position 3. 0, 1, 2, 3. So that's why we're doing model choice minus 1. So computer, whatever's in the position of model choice minus 1. So if they enter 1, it would be 1 minus 1 equals 0. So it'll be Dell. So that's what that is. For the that's how we figure out what the price is, right? Or what the computer option is. Sorry. Now we move on to the price of the selected computer option, which is similar. But this time we're going to go to the price array. We're going to put price here, brackets. Then here it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be model choice minus 1. Again, since these are parallel, then if they enter 1, that means the price is 750. If they enter 2, that means the price is 550. So model choice minus 1 would be they enter 1, that means they want a Dell, and that means that they want 750. So 1 minus 1 is 0. So this is as position 0. So now we move on to the next one. I'm gonna add a line for y'all. So next one is, let's see here. It says hard drive size. They're gonna be used HD space gig brackets. Then inside these brackets, we're gonna do HD choice. And same thing, minus 1. And now for the price of the hard drive, we're gonna use the HD price. And curly brackets, same thing, HD choice, minus 1. Semicolon. So this is the constructor. So all that data is being passed from these arrays, depending on what they order. So we finish this part, we can finally exit the loop. Now we're out here. Still in the main method though. I'll let everyone catch up real quick. We can try running it as well just to make sure we didn't make any errors. So I did make an error. It says, oh, I didn't use the correct variable. So we have to use HD choice, not HD price. Now we run it. There we go. So that's why it's good to, run it as you go. That way you can catch the mistakes early. Just let me know when you guys are good. Or if you need something explained. Yep.
So I'm just making sure. So basically what we did for part 3 is break the loop, right?
So
First and second one.
You're talking about this part 3 or this part 3?
You're the one we just did. Oh, no, it's like B3.
So this one,
When we started creating the loop.
like, because there's 3 and then there's a sub 3.
I know, I'm not talking about the sub.
Oh, you're talking about this one. Oh, like the whole thing in general. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just like repeating because I hope we understand.
Yeah.
So we just created the loop and then we're just like building the relationship.
Yeah. So this is all of this.
Yeah,
So that's these 2 things
yeah,
and instantiating the objects.
okay.
Y'all good? We good? Okay. So we're done with this loop. Now this part is saying call method 2, describe below. So it's talking about this method. And we're gonna pass in its argument the array of objects created above. So it's talking about the orders array, which is what we named it orders. So we're gonna do method 2. And inside here, we're gonna pass the orders array. So we put orders and semicolon. Just to make sure it's better just copy and paste so you don't make mistakes. And that's all this line is asking for. Make sure it's outside the loop. Because if it's inside, it'll get messed up. This is the end of the loop right here, this curly brace. So right outside. So we have completed the main method. Now we can move on to method 2. So create a method public. Since we use method 2 in the main method, and the main method is static, then we have to use static right here. And we're not returning anything from what I can see. And since I'm named it method 2 right here, we'll just name it method 2. You can name it.
Otherwise, it's the main.
Huh?
Otherwise, we would say name.
No, you would name it something else. This one is the main method up here. So you can't have 2 main methods. All of this right here. Yeah, you can't have 2 main methods. You can only have one. So here we're gonna name it method 2, whatever you guys want. And it says we're receiving a parameter of the array of objects created above. So where is the object coming from? The laptop class. So we put laptop. Similar to the quiz 1, when we're receiving an object, laptop. But here, since it's an array, we have to put the square brackets. And we name it something, right? I'll name mine stuff. So we completed this line, cross it off. We're almost done. We only got 3 more things. Almost done. So it says here, display the column header line as shown below. So it's talking about this one right here. So we're just gonna this should be an easy point for you guys. We're just gonna display this column header. So we're just gonna do a print line, and we're just gonna do computer and add a tab in there. Then we can do price, add another tab. We can do this capacity, add a tab, price, add a tab, and configured price. There we go. So that's all that line is asking for. Easy enough. So next it says call the display method described in the laptop class above for each of the objects in the array. So here's the keyword again, for. We're going to be using a for loop. And it says call the display method. So let's come back here. It's talking about this one right here. This display method. So we're going to call it. So for tab Mac users. And we can use I again since that I was only in scope for here. So we can use I again equals 0. And again, I is less than something. Since we're passing the array of orders and we're renaming it to stuff here, we can just use stuff.length. And increment I. So that's pretty much the same format for every single for loop you guys see up here. So you guys should get something close to that. So in here, we're calling this one, and we want it to display all of these things right here. So depending on the object, then it's going to be different, right? So that's how we know we're going to use. We're going to use the stuff array, square brackets, and in here the position of I. And we're going to do dot and the method that we're calling. So this one is called display. So you would put the display, put the parentheses, and finish it off with a semicolon. And that's all that part is asking for. Now, it says here, display the total line as shown below. So it's talking about the very bottom one, this one right here. So should be pretty easy. So here we're going to do total amount. And we want to display the total. So let's check back here. We have a get method called get total price. So we can just do the class name, which is laptop, of the method you're trying to call. So this is class laptop, and we do get total price. Oops, there we go. And that's how we would get that total price. Let me add a line for you guys, that way you guys can see better. And next part, it says number of computers. So here, we would do number of computers. And how do you guys think we should do this one? So if I come back here, we don't have a count attribute, so we can't use that. Yep, there's no count. So how do we know how many computers we purchased? Yeah, the person entered it, right? But this is out of scope though. So we can't use num computers because this only exists inside the main method. So what I think we should do is, since the stuff array is how many computers they ordered, then we can do stuff.length. And that will give you the amount of objects, so the amount of purchases that are being made. So that's it. So we finished the quiz. Hopefully, we have no errors. So let's try it. This is where you're gonna pray on Monday and hope that it runs. So it ran. How many computers do you want to purchase? So he doesn't have anything in here, but he has all of this stuff in here. So it looks like to me he's ordering 1, 2, 3, 4 computers. So here we would enter 4 to test. Then he wants a Dell first. So we would enter 1 for Dell. Then how much? It says 256. So we would enter 1. And that's the next one. Now we're gonna move on to H. This one he wants HP. The capacity is 1024. What the 3. Then he wants an Apple 4. The Apple has 2048, which is 4. And the last one is Dell. And it's 256. So 1 and 1. So here. So does that look like this? Not really. So looks like we forgot something. So yeah, the spacing is messed up, and we have this 3. We have the 1-del 3. We don't want that. So we would have to do string manipulation. So what I'm thinking is to go back to the constructor. What I'm thinking is we could go over to the constructor and do some string manipulation in there. So go ahead and go back here. So we're passing the stuff, and here we can clean it up. So we want to clean the model, which it's being passed in here. So computer model choice -1. So if they enter 1, then it'll give this right here, the string 1-del. So we want to clean that up. So I'm thinking we could use a substring. So we could do model dot substring. And in here, the first thing inside the parameter would be the start position that you want. So let's check back here. So we want to start at, so it's 0, 1, 2, and 3. So we want to start there. So we would put 3 in here. And we want to finish at the length of the string. So we could do model dot length in here, and it'll finish off to the end of the string. But if you don't put anything in here, it automatically goes to the end. So I'll just put 3. Now the next one we need to fix, I believe, was the disk capacity, because it was showing 1-256, 1- whatever. So let's go ahead and fix that. So we got to fix it up here before we assign the values here. So let's add a line here. And here, let's do size HD equals size HD, and we're going to use a substring method. So dot substring. It's all lowercase though, so be careful with that. And let's say 3 again. Right? Let's see. 0, 1, 2, 3. Yep. So 3. And want it to go, we still want the end of it, so leave it at 3. And semicolon. Let's run it. Okay, no errors. Now let's run this one again. Now I don't want to type all that stuff out, so we can just test it with 1 and just do whatever and see. Yeah, so this matches way better. Now the spacing is still messed up, but you know, if this is your quiz, you're running out of time, like you can just submit it like that. He won't take off any points for formatting at all. So you can finish it off here if you want. So That would be the whole quiz right there. So yeah, now let's go ahead and stop the recording, and then how do I stop the recording? Let me see.
And you put more.